Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Pearlstein and I want to review with you the Pythagorean Theorem. This is something that you probably have been working on since middle school, so we're going to fly through this pretty quickly. The first thing you have to remember about the Pythagorean Theorem is that it only works for right triangles. If you try to do this with a scaling triangle or a obtuse triangle, you will not be getting the correct answer for the relative sides of the sides of the triangle. So this is just a general picture of what a right triangle looks like. And we usually put a little square in the corner for the right angle, and that's a 90-degree angle. And the length of the side that is opposite the right angle is always called the hypotenuse. And we usually call that side C. The other two sides of the right triangle are called legs, and those are just randomly given names of side A and side B. So what the Pythagorean theorem states is that the sum of the squares of the legs of a right triangle is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So that means we can take one side and square it, another side and square it, add it together, and that's going to be equal to the length of the hypotenuse squared. So let's look at a quick example or two. So we'll start with the first example. We're going to just look at a right triangle that has, let's just do the basic one first. Let's say the hypotenuse is 5, and it has one side that has a length of 4, and we want to find the middle missing side x. So based on the Pythagorean theorem, we know 5 is the hypotenuse, and x and 4 represent the lengths of the legs, and so x squared plus 4 squared has to be equal to 5 squared. So now we just go and replace all of the numbers that we know. 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, and then we are going to subtract 16 from both sides, and that will leave us with x squared is equal to 25 minus 16, which is 9. So when we take the square root of both sides, we get plus or minus 3. Now on a quick side note, the solution to the algebraic equation is x is equal to plus or minus 3, but x represents the length of a side of a triangle, and that can only be a positive value. So we're only going to worry about the positive solution when we use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? So then the next example is, how do we handle finding a missing hypotenuse? This is 5, and this is 12, and we want to find the hypotenuse. So we know that the sum of the squares of the legs, 5 squared plus 12 squared, has to equal x squared. 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, 25 plus 144 is 169. When we take the square root of both sides, we get x is equal to 13. So the length of our missing hypotenuse is 13. And that's all there is to it. You're going to get a bunch of practice, and please make sure you feel really comfortable with finding this information, because we're going to be using it for the next month.